This is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, built in Jerusalem to mark the sites where Jesus was crucified and buried. Around 130 AD, Roman Emperor Hadrian, as the ultimate snub to Christians, built a temple over the site and dedicated it to the mythological god Venus. Helena destroyed Hadrian's pagan temple in about 326 and ordered the massive Church of the Holy Sepulchre built in its place.
Macarius was a contemporary of Eusebius and the bishop of what remained of Jerusalem in the early 4th century. In 325, Macarius was invited to participate in the Council of Nicaea, the first worldwide meeting of Christian leaders in a town just south of Constantinople, Istanbul in present-day Turkey. There he helped argue against Arianism in favor of the triune nature of God, which includes Jesus Christ. Also at Nicaea, Macarius convinced the new Christian Roman Emperor Constantine that neglect of the holy city of Jerusalem was an offense to God. As a result, Constantine issued an imperial order to destroy the pagan temples in the city. Then he sent his mother, Helena, to Jerusalem to help Macarius recover and restore the Christian holy sites and build places of worship related to the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Helena was Empress of the Roman Empire and mother of Constantine the Great. With the royal title of Augusta, meaning majestic or venerable, Helena had free reign over Rome's imperial treasury. In the late 320s, Helena used her financial privilege to tour Israel with Macarius, locate pilgrimage sites, and build impressive structures to protect them.
Helena had a central role in the creation of 3 magnificent structures that commemorate the locations of the birth, death, resurrection, and ascension of Jesus. I had to see them all. The first one, in Bethlehem, of course, is located in a territory known as the West Bank, a piece of land controlled by the Palestinians. It can be tricky crossing over the border, but helpful and eager cab drivers, and a lot of them, await on the other side. This is the Church of the Nativity, built in Bethlehem to mark the location of the birth of Jesus. The cave beneath this altar is thought to be the room shared with the animals where the baby Jesus was laid in a manger. Although Helena's structure from the 4th century was destroyed, Roman Emperor Justinian rebuilt the church in 556 AD, maintaining Helena's architectural style. Incredibly, this large section of Helena's original church floor still survives. Today, the Church of the Nativity is considered the oldest standing church in continual use. This is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, built in Jerusalem to mark the sites where Jesus was crucified and buried. Around 130 AD, Roman Emperor Hadrian, as the ultimate snub to Christians, built a temple over the site and dedicated it to the mythological god Venus. Helena destroyed Hadrian's pagan temple in about 326 and ordered the massive Church of the Holy Sepulchre built in its place. This incredible structure still induces awe from Christian visitors. The interior is the size of a football field, with one end dedicated to the traditional site of Golgotha, where Jesus was crucified, and the other end dedicated to the traditional site of the empty tomb, or sepulchre, of Jesus Christ.
And this is the Church of the Disciples, built by Helena to mark the traditional location where Jesus ascended to heaven after commissioning his followers to take his gospel to the entire world. By the end of the 4th century, this church atop the Mount of Olives came to be known as the Church of the Eleona, Eleona is Greek for olive grove, and the location marked a cave where tradition says Jesus spent time with his disciples and taught them the Lord's Prayer. The Persians destroyed the original church in about 614 AD.
Today, this rebuilt church is known as the Church of the Pater Noster, meaning Lord's Prayer in Latin. It stands right next to Helena's original church, the ruins of which were rediscovered in the 20th century. The walls were partially rebuilt, but many of the remaining stones ended up being used as tombstones in the valley below.
The walls of the rebuilt church, monastery, and partially reconstructed Church of Eleona are all used to display plaques containing the Lord's Prayer. Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 through 13 are represented in over 100 different languages and dialects. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Helena died around 330 with her son Constantine the Great by her side. She was buried in the mausoleum of Helena just outside Rome. This structure was originally built by Constantine to be his own burial site, but he gave it to his beloved mother instead.
Tradition maintains that Helena was renowned for helping the poor and destitute. She would visit churches and leave them with large donations to support their surrounding communities. In the end, Helena was revered as a devout follower of Jesus. Because of her efforts to preserve Christian sites in the Holy Land, Israel was once again in the hearts and minds of Christians throughout the Mediterranean region.